Hello everyone, my name of course is Resonant, and welcome back to another video. A few days ago, the long-awaited Battlefield 1 game was released by DICE and EA. After the massive success of the open beta, many people were beyond hyped for the new time period. With the age of modern first-person shooters, heavy mech soldiers and invincible machines, people wanted to see something different. And so came Battlefield 1. Sit back, relax and enjoy today's video, where I'll be going over key aspects and my personal opinions on the game. So, is Battlefield 1 any good? Let's start off with the single player. The recent Battlefield games are known to fall down a bit on the single player side of the franchise, with weak storylines and characters with very little compelling features. With the new announcement of the franchise taking place in the front lines of World War I, many people, including me, had high hopes for a new, refreshing single player experience that immerses the players in hell. The beginning of the game throws you right into the battle, with shells hitting the floors meters away, allies being bayoneted from all directions and bullets pinging off buildings and trees. There is no holding back with the strong introduction to the game, giving players a real sense of how war felt back in the day. I may have some gripes and nitpickings about the game, but one massive point I have, for at least the first level, is a great sense of immersion. Something I might as well say now is there was an issue with immersion later on in the campaign, but feeling like you're on hell on Earth is a consistent feature for the multiplayer, but we'll get onto that later. I have to say, DICE did an amazing job in the introductory levels with hitting players where it hurts. At least for me, after seeing men drop dead all around you, then taking a bullet yourself, it really does hit home when the name of an 18-year-old boy shows up on the death screen. After your short introduction level, the opening cinematic is absolutely epic. It is emotional at the same time, and I definitely say you go and check it out on YouTube yourself if you haven't already. There'll be a link down in the description, as I cannot show the whole thing here for copyright reasons. So we've been through the introduction, but how does a single player fare in general? Unlike many other games, and other Battlefield games, the single player isn't just one solid campaign, where you fight as one man going through their story, but there are a number of different missions. May it be fighting in the desert alongside Lawrence of Arabia, or having supremacy over the sky, taking out zeppelins and ground defences, and many more. For each different story, you play as a different character, and all in all they are set out and executed very well. Personally, my favourite mission is The Runner. You play as an Australian war veteran, assaulting up a cliff edge with fellow soldiers, and finally making a stand in a hilltop fort. I think it is a good thing that they have given the players a chance to experience different aspects of war. Yet, because of the split missions, it makes it hard to get too attached to each individual character. The amazing voice acting, graphics and sounds help immerse you in the time, and yes, I do feel sad when someone dies, or on the edge when my tank is surrounded by Germans. Yet, there is nowhere near as much attraction to my character as there could be. Personally, if I was making the campaign, I'd follow one young boy signing up with his mates at the start of the war. Oh and yeah, it is set near the end of the war, so there's no nod to the terrible war tactics, inexperienced troops and downright horrific casualties that ensued at the start of the war. Like I was saying, I'd follow one character with his mates and follow them through the initial days of the war, witnessing the trenches for the first time and going over the top, with men falling either side of you, your friends being lost to the hell of battle one by one. I think this way, the attachment to your character would be so much more and immerse the players greatly into the game. Having your soldier witness every horrific aspect of war, just like any old Tommy would. Not have these superhero characters we get in the existing campaign, and that takes me on to my next point. I spoke of immersion, but how it was very good for the first mission, it then tails off later on in the single player campaign. In all the missions, you play as some superpowered invincible man. There is no teamwork, very little tactics, and the game almost infers that the war was won by a few heroes, leaving every other man useless. I do understand that they were trying to show the stories of the heroes of war, yet there's not a single mission that needs teamwork and survival alongside your other soldiers. It's more of a one-man army sort of game, much like the previous Battlefields, but only set in World War I. Authentic weapons and other related things to the time period are included, but the odd thing breaks realism, such as an overpowered metal suit of armour, which yes, they were used back in the day as an experimental kit during the war, but in battle were almost never actually put to use. The mission where you're scaling a hill as an Italian soldier to take the Austro-Hungarian line is ridiculous, as you are almost invincible in your suit of armour. But yes, you feel like a badass, but in my opinion, I don't feel like it really fits in with the game. I think we've spoken enough about the single player, but all in all, I really enjoy it as a game, but I'd like to see more storytelling on one single person's life. This way, we'd get a lot more attached, and we'd feel like we were definitely immersed in World War I. We all know graphics has always been a massive part of DICE games. The last installment, Star Wars Battlefront, was probably the best looking game ever made in my opinion, and they pulled it off once again in Battlefield 1. Individual texture design, from the buttons on your jacket to the mud on the floor. Dynamic changes make all the difference. When you lie down in the mud for long expanses of time, slowly but surely, you'll get dirt and grit on your rifle. Explosions look fantastic, buildings crumbling, and the lick of fire coming around a corner fills the player with fear as they know the flame trooper is no more than a few meters away. I think optimization is on point. I have a GTX 960 and an i5 469K, which is a decent setup, but no monster by any stretch. I'm able to play at very high settings with over 60 FPS, and this is amazing optimization for a game with this graphical fidelity coming out in 2016. The Frostbite engine really shows off its true potential in this stunner of a game. The sound design for Battlefield 1 is some of the best I've seen in any game to date. Each individual gun has an authentic and recognisable sound, and explosions dropping with a slight whistle before they crash into the ground really immerses me in the game. For me, my favourite sound by far is the sound of the propellers of the planes as they fly overhead, especially when you hear the sound of a fighter coming in for a sweep. You know you need to take cover. During multiplayer battles, events can happen. May it be a sandstorm in the desert or a fog lowering over the mountain. This changes the game's dynamics for the battle, somewhat rendering snipers useless and putting emphasis on close-range melee weapons. Especially the fog, it makes you almost invisible in some situations. The lighting in the game is absolutely stunning. May it be the sunset over the ocean or the glint of the hot red sun off your bayonet. Although it makes a gorgeous game, the lighting in Battlefield 1 can also add a sinister side. I remember sitting in an abandoned house with muffled explosions going on all around, and footsteps every direction. I was already terrified of what enemies I might run into, but it ticked it off when the solitary light started swinging from the ceiling above, from the shockwaves of shells. Multiplayer has always been a massive part of Battlefield for many people. Massive scale warfare, not only infantry but vehicles as well, an all-out bloodbath, and it's no different in Battlefield 1. Probably one of my favourite multiplayer games to play at the moment. This is where the immersion really kicks off. Teamwork is key, and juxtaposing to single player, going in as a one-man army will get you killed instantly. Using orders with your squad to attack certain objectives, getting numbers of men to target a lone tank is the only way of defeating it. Even if you're in a squad, you can use certain commands such as attacking a point, or even using the go 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 command, does the World War I whistle we all know. The immersion in multiplayer is amazing. The sounds and visuals, hiding in trenches, for fear you'll get your head blown off even if you slightly poke up to survey the area, or diving into craters made by previous artillery fire to escape a lone sniper. Multiplayer has the typical 4 Battlefield classes: Assault, Medic, Support and Scout. Each have their individual speciality, and whereas in the beta nearly everyone played as a sniper as it was the most successful class, I'm happy to say that more people are playing as the other classes now. Personally, I love to play as the Medic class, going around healing troops, gauging points and helps in the struggle to take the flags. I love using the syringe to revive fallen allies and get them back into the action, and it's nice when they thank you for it. It really helps with the teamwork, and as we know, teamwork is key in the Battlefield 1 multiplayer. For me, I definitely think the game is worth the money for the multiplayer alone, but the single player really just tops off the deal. So, is Battlefield 1 any good? If you were looking for a new experience in first-person shooters, being bored by the same old modern combat, Battlefield 1 is definitely for you. With a few exceptions, I think Battlefield 1 is a huge success for DICE, and I would say for me, it's one of the best Battlefield games I've played to date. If I was going to give a rating for the single player, I'd give it a 7 out of 10, and a 9 out of 10 of course for the multiplayer. Those both very strong, but I feel the multiplayer is still the strong point for Battlefield games. What would you give them? Leave your scores you give to the single player and the multiplayer below, and I'd love to see your thoughts. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more content, and like the video to support the channel massively. Thank you guys once again for watching. More content coming soon. But until then, I will see you in the next one.